right. You are in the right place. This is the SQV conversation. I'm your host, Shannon Joy McKeel. Thank you for joining me. This is our first SQV in my new studio, and it is only fitting that it is today that we would meet with the tremendous artist, Debra Lee Murrow, out of Scottsdale, Arizona, to talk about art and how it intersects our lives and how art can make our lives better professionally, personally, spiritually, all the things. So Debra Lee Murrow, thank you so much for coming on the SQV. And we're so happy to have you.
You're welcome. Thanks. I'm stoked to be here. It's awesome. And
It
that wall, man, that wall.
It was a lot of fun. Thank you. And it's just great that you're the first one to launch this wall, if you will. Just so our viewers know, I have always loved the color pink. My book is pink. It's still there. And it's Barbie pink, and it's still Barbie season. We're still riding the coattails of the amazing feminist saga that was the Barbie movie. And so I latched onto that hex code and created a book around it. My company is blue. And so for the last 14 episodes of the SQV, and for most of the meetings I've attended over the past 6 months, I've had a gradient of blue to pink, because I believe that we all sit in the middle. We're neither professional or personal. We are purple, and we have to embrace the differences of each person. And in doing so, that color is a good representation of that. And it's also Laura Lynn Jansen's favorite color. That's her book up there as well. My mentor and one of my best friends. So purple is the color that I really resonate with. I love all color though. So let's start talking about some art, Debra Lee, because I know that your career has had a lot of changes and different things that you've approached over the years. So tell me a little bit about your journey to becoming a professional artist.
Sure. Well, I started in corporate in my 20s, and then that quickly was like, oh, got three different jobs, very good at what I did, always went to the top. I'm like, okay, I'm ready for a change. And at that moment, I read the Tony Robbins, A Tape a Day for 30 days. And I did go to church, but this wasn't really supposed to be a spiritual journey. But he said, you could have fun with your natural talents and God-given abilities. I'm like, okay, I really believe. I think I was agnostic in my 20s, but I believe. Now it was this whole thing. Okay, let's suss, who's this Jesus character? I don't know. I don't understand this. So with that, I just kind of leaped, and it was either going to be training, that was going to be a next job, or my own business. But what I didn't realize is my natural gifting from God was teaching. And you just can't get away from it. You can run, but you cannot hide.
Yeah.
And it will nag you and nag you and nag you. So in my journey, I would learn something and be so excited and be like, oh, I got to teach. And everybody's like, it was good, but it was a little overmuch. So I need an audience. I need a classroom. I need people to instruct. And if I don't, I'm not so happy. If you're not in your gifting, it really, really rolls. So anyway, I go and I have this, read so much in 3 years. I moved from Boston to New York City, and I get a little 2x4 in the East Village. And I read. And all I did was do the restaurant industry, because I didn't want to have any carryover. Like, I just want to go in, do my job, come back out, go work out, read, type, go work, just that same repetitive thing. And so one day I was like jumping for joy. I had the revelation, a very deep revelation of the power of words. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what's happening? Right. And in the same time, kind of sad, because I would look at people and they weren't doing well. I'd be like, oh, they don't know. Right. So here's this, I'm like a mess inside. Like, where do I go? Which way do I go? So I run into this amazing Japanese calligraphy pen brush. And it's this paintbrush, but it's ink. And all the ink is right here. And I just start creating. And my very first piece I created was, I am healthy, healed, happy, and blessed, in this coloring type theme. And people started coloring it. I started doing names. My girlfriend's name is Karen. I did Karen is Love. And she colored it. I'm like, okay, let's do Color Me. It was a journey of just taking the next step, and like moving through it. So I'm keen, and then this comes about, to say this before I do a keynote, before I do a class, before I do anything. Everyone has to say this 3 times because they got to get it in here before it comes out here. So I'm an artist and I'm creative, and we talk about that. We talk about how we have different forms of creativity, cooking, and just everything. It all relates. And I was cooking a lot before I got my art. And I'll tell you, in my 20s, I would get everything out on my table because then it was a hobby. And I would sit there and blank, nothing. I'm like, what do I do? Nothing. I didn't realize, oh, just copy something. But I don't think I wanted to do that. And I was just blank, 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 blank. But I had a passion at that time for a good card, let's say an abstract card, like a fun card, and a good quote. But I never could find the two. It was a good quote and then this beautiful country scene, which wasn't me, or vice versa, or the opposite.
So you got a job at Hallmark.
I know, right? I created my own line. Maybe Dayspring will pick me up soon. I keep saying this. I'm a Dayspring artist. They need something fun in that series.
We'll tag them on in this video.
Okay. Nice. So
wonderful.
So, yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun. And through the last 20 years, it's, and getting married and having kids and moving from New York to Arizona and then mixing that up. So I do these big canvases. This started in all just black and white, and I was at a party the other night, and everybody has fun. I have people color with me on all these pieces. So I do classes for individuals. Everyone can have their individual piece. Or the nice thing is when we create together, because people walk up and say, yeah, the most I could ever do and not real good is a stick figure. I say, go for it. And I have a little stick figure on here from somebody the other night. It slows them down. They're in awe first that they can paint with me. Like, I get to do that with you? Yeah, come on. And it's all good. And I use oil paint sticks, which are amazing. They are like a crayon, but it's all oil paint and it's all mushy. So it's super easy to blend. And there's like, where do I get this stuff? It introduces people back to their childhood, their inner child. That introduces them back to play. I was just reading about values. And if your values aren't connected to your dream in some way, that might not last. You got to have value-based dream. And it really hit me like a ton of bricks, because that's exactly what the series did that I went through, but I didn't connect the dots as close as I just did. And they said, when you were a kid, what did you do to play? And right there, that's your value. So you got to go back to figure that out. Yeah. It's just,
I had a guided meditation with Brian Muka yesterday. Do you know him?
Oh, yes, he's great.
And it was really neat. We figured that out. He's like, what did you play? What in your 5-year-old self? What did you do? What did you play? I don't know if you can see. Yeah. So I used to play house with my sister, and I realized the reason I like to play house. This is my sister Serenity. Can you see her?
Yep.
So the reason I played house with her is because it made me feel good to take care of her, and I always did. And she and I have had our ups and downs over the years, but she's so special to me. And so, yeah, I like to take care of people. I'm a nurturer. And so I've always done that. And I've had great friend groups, but what I profess in my career now, after being a consultant for the past year, a little over a year at this point, your company is only as strong as how you treat your people. And if you don't have people-centric policies and processes, you're not going to be successful. So it's Serenity, and that's my sister's name is Serenity. So, and my middle name is Joy. We had hippie parents. Yes, we did. But anyway, it is really important that your passions align with your values, align with your job. And so many people are in positions where they're not really happy and they're just kind of getting through the day. And, maybe we can shuffle those people into a different department. But I want to talk about how you come in and work with groups. And what kind of things are learned in those realms? I know when we spoke last week, you were on your way to a nursing home or a assisted living or whatever they classify it as. So tell me about all the different types of groups that you've worked with. And then let's talk specifically about organizational contacts that you've had and how that art has been good for the organization.
Okay. So I'll pick on a law firm because I love that. I was just so excited to go into this law firm. It was woman run. And when I went in there, I looked around, I saw some pretty cool real art, not just copies. So I was like, this is my jam. So I went in there specifically because they were adding people to their team and they were not having it. Like there was an internal conflicts. Smartest thing she ever could do is bring me in. I literally did a pen and ink called Color Me Pen and Ink, and it's a word-based art class. So I get to talking to people. It's like, what's one thing in your life that you could use right now? One thing. And they all got to thinking. And when they can't think, and I'm like, a quick first thought, always like first thought. So then I start saying, love, peace, joy, relax, that sort of stuff. So when they start to kind of like get into that moment, I explain 5 or 4 other art mediums. And then once we have our pen and ink piece down on paper, then they get to play with the different colors. So you can talk and play with color. You can't talk and create on a blank sheet of paper. It's right brain, left brain thing. It's impossible. So when I start to create, then I'll tail off talking if I'm teaching a class or whatnot. I have to stop because it's, I'll spell a word wrong, because what we're trying to do is I'm trying to make this word creative. So I have to lock into my right when I'm working with this. And because I'm working with letters, it's hysterical. So I go, give yourself grace. And I had a journalist at my class. She was beside herself. I can't believe I spelled the word wrong. I relax. We're all real. It's human. It's a left brain, right? It was so funny.
Well,
so anyway,
you want to provide time that when they're doing something mindless like coloring, right? That they're creating, you're providing this space within your leadership for them to talk to the other members at the table.
Yep.
So you've got these seasoned lawyers and these paralegals that have been there a long time, and they're resisting the expansion and these new people. So Can you tell me, were they threatened? What was the deal? Why weren't they welcoming these people with open arms?
Just different values. And, coming in, and maybe somebody came in right to the top and they didn't kind of go the regular route. But of course, the owner needs she's got to pay the bills. So she sees a superstar, she needs to bring them in. So it was interesting. So I was just the first part. And then as they're creating, I'm creating on the side an 18 by 24. And I'm asking them, I go, what does this law firm mean to you? And I put all there. So all of a sudden, I'm creating this big art piece for all of them. And then the company gets that. Again, it can scan it in, blow it up. Shrink it down, do little pieces of that same piece that I did at each other's desk. So right now, they not only have their art piece, the experience, they have what I created in front of them at their desk that they could color over, make more copies. And then, soon, it didn't happen yet, but maybe I go in and they do a big one, or maybe they move to a bigger office and now everybody's like creating over the same content. What does this company mean to you? And then we talk about it. So, and I had 2 other gals come in. They invited me in actually. And they were consultants. They were, strategic goal coaches. So I did my part, they do their part. I work really well with coaches. I don't take the whole ball at all because everybody has a superpower.
I can imagine this would be a really fruitful interaction between all of the colleagues of an organization to create values and mission statements and, those things that are so juicy and good. But you want to get people's input, right? In the beginning, you want to make sure that everybody's on the same page. It's really difficult to do that, but this could be a medium to develop those, I think.
Right, right. And then just allow people to understand, hey, we're all artists, aren't we? And when people deny that, it's sad, but it's, we're all made in the image of God.
Mm,
So if we calling ourselves not an artist, then we're saying he's not an artist. It doesn't fit.
I get you.
And then that's all I have to say is that one thing. And then they're like, oh, I kind of got them. Like, oh, unless they don't believe.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, okay. I go, can we take a baby step then? Just a baby step. And once they take the baby step, then I got them and just draw them in. Because how do you eat an elephant?
One bite at a time.
That's right.
So as far as that specific session with the law firm, just to use as an example, I'm sure you've done others, but was it an hour-long session, 2 hours?
I like to do 2 hours. I can cut it short, but I mean, this right here, you could just sit. You have to sit in it and play. Because I tell you what, painting. I was in my studio a couple of years ago, and I had this big piece to do. And it was the flag. So you can imagine, I have these big white and red stripes. So I bend down in my paint. I pull up, and I go like this. And I find myself breathing. I'm like, oh my gosh, that felt so good. Not just did it feel good to do this, but the whole experience of breath. I'm like, oh my gosh, I teach this stuff.
It's so good. It's so good. I love it.
You got it.
So you are in the Scottsdale area in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
So do you travel for these types of events and these type of corporate engagements?
I do. I've gone to Nashville, Texas. I did a retreat in Minnesota. So it just depends where it is and what I do. I love. I love keynoting, but I think I also love to graphic record. So when a company hires me to graphic record, I come out with pieces like this, and come out with maybe 10 of these, because I'll be stage right, and the people will be speaking, and I'll just be drawing what they speak. And then when I'm done, they all get a digital copy, and they get to color it. So I just had the opportunity to do a 2 or 3 day coaching company. I was like, oh my gosh, I love this. All the values, and when that was super fun, because I got it from beginning to end.
Yeah.
And it's just juicy information and fun, and everybody was like, oh, we get to do this, because so many people have ADD, ADHD. And the other thing, why do I have the superpower? I'll go into that a tiny bit. There are 4 types of learners. One of the types of learners is kinesthetic. I had never heard that all my life. So what did I do in school as a kid? I slept. I couldn't stay awake. I needed something in my hands to have the information go in my brain, unless I was really jazzed about the information. Senior year in high school, I aced Shakespeare. I was like, wow, I'm really not that dumb. I can do it. You have all these things that you think about yourself, but they're not teaching to the child's needs. It just, so yeah.
Well, growing up in rural Colorado, in northwestern Colorado, I had wonderful art teachers. I had wonderful music teachers. That was the 80s, the 90s. But I know that the arts are getting pulled out of lots of curriculums. And I wondered if you had a message to school board directors and administrators that you could speak to why arts are important in schools.
Oh, yeah. I say this all the time. So let's just say we never developed this right side. So why don't we have a society walking around like this, metaphorically? Hi, how you doing? Yeah, I don't want to use my whole brain. I'm just going to sit here in my left brain and get clogged up and get full of words. I don't need a break. So when you do art, You open up the side. You shut this. You got to flip back and forth. This is where we breathe. This is where we relax. Sickness and disease happens, because we're clogged. No, we need to relax. So once you start to learn how to draw, and I'll talk about that, you start using your whole brain. You want that. I'm not saying learn to draw and everybody be an artist. No, but you need it in all these other avenues of life. I mean, you have to. It's not even possible. So yes, we have all these other arts, the singing, the culinary arts, the dance. Love it. I don't take anything away. But there's a book called Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain by Betty Edwards. And she will teach you, anyone, because it's a learned skill. Reading, writing, arithmetic, drawing. Those should be the 3 R's and a D. Learned at kindergarten all the way up. Because if you do this curriculum, she teaches adults in 1 week, 8 hours, how to physically draw and draw well portraits. It's drawright.com. I took the class, and before I took the class, I'm like, oh, I'm not that type of an artist. Now, granted, I didn't really have the desire to do portraits because I'm more like abstract and messy, but it was so good for me to learn that and then encourage other people to do it. And now I can do it. And now I teach portrait drawing. Do I want to do it? No, but I can tell you what's off and where you're wrong on your drawings. So yeah, it's more important than you think. So if that book could get in the kindergarten curriculum, because I was in a kindergarten class and I had everybody draw. This kindergartner whipped something out, was like, oh my goodness. We're all born with a measure of something. Don't say, oh, kindergartners couldn't do that. No, it's a different thing going on here on the right side. Completely different. Now, I had those people who were like, I don't know what I'm doing, which is totally fine. But if they had the same curriculum in first grade and second grade, so people say they are not artists when they're about sixth grade because they cannot draw what they see. I'm not an artist. Well, how about I said I'm not a baseball player, yet I tried once and I didn't get training.
Well, and art is subjective, and so if that's a human form and the squiggly line behind you, if that's my idea of what a human form looks like, then that's okay.
Absolutely.
It doesn't have to be a carbon copy of the photo that you're trying to draw off of. I was always pretty good at that. I like the stipple. I'm pretty good at stipple, but I don't draw enough. So you've encouraged me. So thank you for that. And I love all of the arts. I love the creative outlet it gives me. And I think it builds confidence. And I think that's something that organizations can build rapport amongst individuals and then also build confidence and just have fun. And there's an ROI to this. So before we get off, I want you to talk about what some of the organizations that have invited you in to teach some of these classes to kind of build teams. What have been the results? How have they gotten some reward out of that?
Oh, so this one that I did last year is to a group of nurses, and I talked about born for greatness and a purpose. So I weave in my story, and they're at their tables following along with me. As I'm painting and speaking, they're drawing it out. So I'm kind of giving them a little bit of visual note-taking, graphic recording style. So then the canvas stays there for the weekend. They paint it up. I get it back. I blend it out for them. And this year, now it's they've replicated it, and it's stickers, it's magnets, it's a bag, it's mugs. Like I can do all that off my website. So it was a really great tool. So I would love to go back this year to those same people that were the first conference and get some more feedback, because from that, 9 times out of 10, even without even talking to the people, they're like, where do I get the art supplies? What do I do? How do I do this? Da, 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 da. I literally know this. I awaken the genius inside, because everybody's a genius. It's dormant. It's sleeping because we didn't follow a path. We didn't follow our values. We just got a job. Now we're doing this. Now we got 3 car payments, and you have to have that. It kills that.
Yes.
We need to go back and live in communities where we're supporting one another. Oh, you're sick? Hey, hang out. We'll cover that. We got you. We'll do dinner. We'll do this. It's too much stress for even two people to live in a household, and build it, let alone one and the single moms. Like, whoa, that blows me away. Yeah.
It's impossible. I love what you're doing. I love how you're using art to make the world a better place. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, I love it.
If folks want to get in touch with you, what's the best way?
Yeah. So I have Facebook, I have LinkedIn, I have a link tree. I think you have the link in there somewhere. So just click on any one of those. Link trees easy because you can go right to the workshops. You can go right to, all these different areas on my website. So
I will drop that in the description. But your website, what is the URL in case somebody wants to just look that up?
colormeartspa.com.
I love it. Color Me Arts.
I'll just tell you the spa. Like it's kind of odd. But my girlfriend, she was from London one day. She came into my apartment in New York City, and she says, "We're just creating." I had everything on the walls. And she says, "Debra, this is so much fun. It's like as relaxing as a spa."
It is.
So I was like, "Okay, that's what I'm going to use. Color Me Art Spa."
I wish you lived down the street so I could come do art with you, but maybe we can set that up soon. So I hope to bring you into the fold in the SDM consulting world. I think you're a wonderful gift to humanity. So Debra, thank you so much. This has been, without a doubt, one of my favorite SQVs. You're a beautiful human, and keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.